Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Monday, the 22nd of May. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which has done nothing for weeks, it feels. Still trading in a range generally at and above the 50-day moving average, now at 77.10. That's sort of the support area, and 7,800 become the resistance. Above 7,800 on an end-of-day close basis, we're looking at 78.80, which is that main February resistance line, and if we can get through that, then we'd be looking at, ideally, a move towards the 8,000 area to retest February resistance. Big picture target, if we can hold 8,000, it would be up to 8,300 at the top of the post-August rising trend channel. On the downside, if we do have sustained price action below 7,700, then the next level down around 79 or 76.30, which is the April support. Worst case scenario, 7,500 at the floor of last year's channel. On to the DAX, which has been a rather brighter picture than, presented a rather brighter picture than the FTSE. Here we've broken to new ground. The main resistance area here, 1 year resistance, or actually more than 1 year now, around 16,200 plus. We're looking for the top of that rising trend channel from September as high as 16,800 by the end of next month, especially while we remain above recent broken resistance at 15,900. The worst on the downside at the moment seen as being the 50-day line area and the floor of that channel from rising trend channel from September in that area. Moving on to the Dow, and here not as glossy as the DAX. The situation obviously rather impaired by the debt ceiling issue. Here we've got the rising 50 and 200-day lines though, and recent support at and just below the 50-day line around 33,100. Looking for the big break of 34,000, the April 2022 resistance line, but the market really in neutral with the RSI around the 50 level. Worst on the downside, ideally no lower than the 200-day line, 32,700. On to Bitcoin, and here an equally slow picture. We've gone down to support the old March support area, 26,700, and a little probe below that, but bounced back. About 26,700, looking for a break of the 50-day line at 28,200 to take us up towards a June 2022 resistance line target as high as 34,000, but that would be certainly by no sooner, probably at this stage, than the end of next month, and depending obviously on when, or if and when, any break of the 50-day line occurs. On the downside, hoping that 25,000 will be the floor. If we do probe, that was the old August and February resistance, and the worst case scenario at this stage, and that's obviously a very cautious thing to say about Bitcoin, down towards 22,000 at the floor of that rising trend channel from last summer, and the 200-day moving average. But we'd just like to see that RSI now in the low 40s head back towards the 50 pence or 50 level plus over the near term. On to the stocks, and starting off with something of a lap of honor for the bulls of Arrow Exploration, where the breakout out of that range that we had 7p to 21p is well underway. The new assumption would be we would have a new range from 21 to say 35, and so far the stock making good on that. On the technical front, you can see that resistance line projection from last summer heading towards 29 pence initially. Hopefully we'll see that before the end of this month. Big picture target as high as 40 pence, and that old October 2021 resistance line projection. So let's see if Arrow can deliver the goods. Upside certainly valid while we hold above the broken 21 pence resistance level. So even here, decent risk reward on a potential 40 pence move, and ideally at least to the mid 30s. Onto a stock where Baker Hughes has taken a stake, which is quite a result really. Normally the market would be through the roof, but in this case up 11% for ATOME. We've had a gap through the 50 and 200-day moving averages and broken that line of resistance from December around the 102 level. Above that, looking for as high as 136 as soon as the end of next month. A very good looking situation there fundamentally and technically. A stock which was requested last week and has actually delivered the goods on that request, I suppose, up 10% today, is Cornerstone. And here we were looking for the shares to head towards that September resistance line projection around 11 or 12 pence. Hopefully we'll see that by the end of next month, while there's no break back below the 50-day moving average currently at 7 pence. Moving along to a stock which is probably causing a lot of delight amongst the bears, given that delight amongst the bulls, rather, given that the bears have been completely squeezed on this situation. Here we were looking previously for a target around 8 pence. That's been blown out of the water. Then 11, and we can update the target now to as high as 20 pence, which is a resistance line from back in the start of the year. Hopefully we can see that by the end of next month, especially while we remain above the 8 pence level, which is basically the top of the latest gap to the upside. But interesting there that even though the bears throwing stones at the company, shares up 30% today. So obviously they'll have to think of something else. Moving along to Chesterfield, where the bears maybe have been in control for rather too long. Here the shares bouncing well, but we're looking for the shares to break that 50-day line at 1.2 pence. We've had attempts before over the recent past and they haven't worked, but clearance of 1.25 pence probably should be enough to get the shares on a 1 to 2 month target at as high as 2.2 pence, backed by that uptrend line in the RSI window. On to stock which has been on the back foot of late, but here we've got Drumz back at multi-year lows, so that seems a bit unfair given the way that the shares have, or the company has driven its fundamental narrative on a bit. Looking for a bit of a rebound, at least to the 7 pence area, if only on the back of the way that we've got bullish divergence with the lower lows for May, but higher RSI trace, and maybe that will kick in along with the major support that we already have for the shares at current levels. Stock which has been going ahead or leaping ahead in a very strong way over the recent past is Great Southern, and here we've got a sort of W-shaped reversal, just trying to break that neckline there around 1.9 pence. End of day close above 1.9 could take the shares up to 2.8 pence at the top of that broadening triangle from December as soon as the end of next month. We've got the 50-day line now rising, uptrend line in the RSI window as well, so there's plenty to like there over and above that W-shaped reversal. On to Hummingbird, which had decent news today again. Here the company seeing its shares bounce off the old resistance line there from July around the 15 pence mark, above 15 pence, looking not only for a retest of recent resistance at 20 pence, but up to as high as maybe 24 pence by the end of next month. We've got the 50 and 200-day lines both rising well, and we've also bounced off the neutral RSI 50 level, which tends to be a decent continuation signal. In fact, you can connect that uptrend line in the RSI window on the latest bounce. Helium one of the most followed stocks on the London market, and again, news from the company to push the shares up a little bit today. Here you can see that crawl above the 50-day line that we've had over the last couple of months. 50-day line around the 6.7 pence level. Looking for 8 pence initially, maybe over the next 2 to 3 weeks after the latest gap higher, and then big picture target maybe over the next 1 to 2 months as high as 10.5 or 11 pence at that 1 year, or that July resistance line projection from last month. But the key here is holding around 6 3/4 over the near term. A stock which has captured the imagination of many over the recent past, even the great and the good, in terms of the investing community seem to like this one. Ondo and SureTech, here we've got a rising flag which looks pretty strong. We already had that little dip down to the 12 pence area, and shares look as though they're ready to go, sort of cork and water rebound. A clearance of 17.5 pence, or maybe 18 to be safe, should get us up to 20, which was our original target here, and then up to as high as 27 pence by the end of next month, especially while we remain above the 15 pence level. A couple of stocks to go. First is Totally, which I think doesn't get as much airtime as it deserves. Plenty of contract wins, etc. for the company, but not really exciting the market in terms of the share price, but hopefully that will be resolved. Here we've got a rising 50-day line. We've gapped higher as well, so looking for the shares to finally break through the mid-20s and head up to 32 pence as soon as the end of next month. That's the top of a broadening triangle from the end of January, but a nice stop loss point there at the 50-day line, not too far away, just under the 19 pence level. Not often that you can mention Idris Elba in the Bulletin Board Heroes, but we can do that today with Zinc Media. Pretty impressive stuff there. Big win for Zinc with the latest news, production news that they've got, and very tight bull flag there as well. Lower the flag there around 105, above 105, looking for 135 as soon as the end of next month. Presumably it will get there even if Idris doesn't become the next James Bond. That's it from me today. More updates tomorrow.